Hey, everybody, and welcome to the CRM user group call. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a guest speaker that I'll introduce you to here in a second. Want to get everybody situated in the room, and then I will keep my eye on the waiting room and let people in as they come on. Connie, is there anything specifically that you would like them to share in their intros outside of the typical name, role, where they're located geographically?
If we have anybody that's outside of using Cosential CRM, I'd be interested in knowing that.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I'll go in the order that I see you guys, just so I can keep track of who has introduced themselves. So as you go through, if you will just share your name, your role in the company, what company you're with, and then your geographic location, and what CRM platform, if you have one, what you're using. We'll start with Natalie, and then we'll go to Laura.
I'm Natalie Price. I'm with Cross Anderson, general contractor in Minneapolis, and I am the director or the manager of the Marketing Information Services Group. And I use Cosential.
Laura, did you want to give your intro?
Oh, hi. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm Laura Zimmerman. I'm with Friesen Nichols. I'm a CRM data specialist, and I work with Connie, and I'm based out of Houston, and we use Uninet now, I guess it is.
Yes, I do. I'm not used to that either. All right, we'll go Karen and then Jody.
Hi, my name is Karen Cotton. I'm the knowledge manager for HIT Contracting. So our CRM system administrator, and I'm in the Washington, D.C. area, and we use Microsoft Dynamics.
Hi, I'm Jody Bird. I'm the Director of Business Development for Marshall Lancaster and Associates, and I am in the mid-cities of the DFW area, and I use HubSpot for my CRM.
Perfect. Thank you for joining us. We'll go Christy and then Megan.
Yep, my name's Christy Fair. I work for Rudolph Libby. We're in the Toledo, Ohio area. I'm the business development specialist, but I manage our CRM for our company, and we use Cosential.
All right. Hi, I'm Megan Young. I'm the marketing manager at Guide on Design, and we use Cosential here.
Where are you located geographically, Megan?
In Indianapolis, Indiana.
Perfect. Thank you. We'll go Carissa and then Gina.
Hi, I'm Carissa Blackman, and I am a project manager with CKearney Consulting. So I am in Cosential Uninet every day, all day. And so, yeah, just glad to be here. And I'm in the Dallas area of Texas.
And we're twinning today.
And we are twinning today. And actually, Rebecca also has hers on today.
Oh, that's funny.
So we're all wearing our CKearney Consulting shirts today.
Yeah, we have gray and we have maroon. So half of us are twinning at some point during our calls, which is funny. All right, Gina.
Hi, I'm Gina Tremboli. I'm the marketing director at Foster CM Group. I currently am serving the Austin area, but I'm just moved to Milwaukee. So it's a long distance. We are trying to use Cosential. I am one of two that is using it. I cannot get anyone on board, even though they've had it for 3 or 4 years. So I'm trying.
Keep up the good fight. We can be a good support system for you. All right. So I failed to introduce myself. Sorry. I'm Courtney Kearney, founder and owner of CKearney Consulting. And I host and facilitate this user group call. It is the second Thursday of every month, and we alternate between having guest speakers and then just having an open forum discussion. Today, our guest speaker is Connie Lynn. She is going to, I'm going to turn the floor over to her and let her introduce herself. But Connie has been a power user for quite some time, and I'm definitely excited of what she has outlined to talk to you guys about. I'll also let you introduce how you would like people to interact, Connie, whether that is talk through the chat, ask questions in between. But at this point, I will turn it over to you.
Great. I'm going to go ahead and get my screen share started. Everyone see the Free Cynical CKC user group call?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So I'll give you a little background about myself. I have been working with CRM systems since the early 2000s. I am not originally from the AEC industry, but I am for professional services industries. So my first experience with CRM was actually with Salesforce.com. The next one was Microsoft Dynamics. So here we have someone on the phone. And then when I entered the AEC industry, joining Friese and Nichols 3 years ago, they were using CoCentral for the marketing side, but they were not using it for the sales side. So there was a little bit of transition. And I heard someone say you only have 2 people. We started in 2010, and it was a little bit of a struggle during that 10 years, right? Of hey, we're going to use this, people getting excited, and then it kind of flopping. And you really have to have some owners, you know, in leadership to help that, but also having you internally. So if you want to have sidebar discussions on, you know, that's not the focus of my call today, but I'm always happy to collaborate and help others if I can. So that's a little bit about me. So today I'm going over kind of proposal efficiency programs that we put in place. And this, if you, for the CoCentral folks, if you attended their CRM weekly webinar today, they actually went over the publisher module and doing those types of things. It's a little, I get the basis of it, but I am not a creative person. So CKearney probably is. And, you know, being able, I can do the coding, but someone else would have to like create the whole document before I could drop coding in. But I'm going to go ahead and get started. So there's 5 areas in which we focus on for our proposal efficiency. And I'll tell you, when I joined Friese and Nichols, which it's just now been 3 years, it was 3 years ago, some of the questions that I got asked in the front end is, how can I help improve proposal efficiency? And I had no idea what they meant in relation to our CRM tool, because while I was in professional services, we always use CRM tools strictly for the sales side of the house. So I really had to learn this marketing side with proposals. So proposal archiving is probably the first thing that we focused on, and that they had already been kind of doing, but we put some more parameters around it to help with it. So we have CoCentral, like other CRMs, have workflow emails that can go out. So when we have a proposal that's submitted and it gets moved to that submitted stage, we have an automated email that goes out to the marketing coordinator, and then it has a checklist. These are the things that you need to do for your proposal archiving. So it may be, you know, archiving their InDesign document to our network. It could be making sure that the photos are in the stored directory for that. Like there's just a series of things. And obviously, if you updated project descriptions, someone's certifications or registrations, making sure they get that back into CoCentral. But the other way that we're also using the proposal archiving, we wanted our users to be able to search the proposal. So we actually attached the final PDF of the proposal document to CoCentral, not the working files, but the proposal final submittal, and also the shortlist. When you attach those documents to CoCentral, there is a field for that called metadata, but the metadata is not searchable. So helpful if you're looking at the opportunity record, not so helpful if you're wanting to be able to locate and find something. So our workaround was repurposing, relabeling a field, and we've titled it Proposal Archive Metadata. And as you can see here on the screen, we include specific data points. So we want to know whose resumes were included in that proposal. Now, if we just listed someone in an org chart, they don't get put here because we don't really need to see that a name was entered in an org chart, right? So we want bona fide, is there a resume in the proposal? Who did we team with? Who is our sub-consultant team? You know, when that's applicable, we add that. The featured projects, you know, as you're probably aware, a lot of our project names are similar, just it's kind of the nature of our business. So we also include the project number because that's the key identifier there. And then keywords, if there are any specific keywords, obviously not the word water, because, you know, we'd probably get over half of them returned if we used a generic term like that. But if we have something specific like tunneling or something like that, we may enter those there. And so having this field, what it allows us to do is to actually run an opportunity report filtered off of this field. So we can enter different parameters. I think there's 7 or 8 filter fields there where you can say and or to kind of get that information that you need. So that is one thing that we've used to help people find the proposals and dig into them pretty quickly. Additionally, you know, having the proposal due date in there, we can sort by most recent to oldest, so the newest is at top because someone probably wants to see a proposal that was done this year, not 2 years ago. So there's different kinds of things that you can do with that. So I'll pause at the end of these slides to see if anybody has any questions about what I covered. And Courtney, I'll let you monitor the chat. I don't see that, so.
Yeah, no one has anything in the chat yet. So I just wanted to make sure that where we're talking about this being listed is on the opportunity record.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a free text field, not a selection.
That's correct.
Okay.
Open text field.
Okay, perfect. And have you, like, how detailed do you get with your users as far as like, do you do commas? Is it just
we do semicolons to separate things? That's a great question. Being consistent in entering how the data goes in helps us parse the data in Excel, okay. Right? So we do give specific guidelines on separating things with semicolons because occasionally people enter commas, like if we have a Will Smith Jr., they might do Will Smith, comma Jr., or they'll add commas at different areas if they want to add the city and the state. And so when you do that, that makes it a little more difficult. So semicolon is what we've used to separate, you know, the different projects, the different personnel, the different teaming partners, those types of things.
And then when you're using the reporting feature, you're just using the contains, not like equals to or any of that kind of stuff. Okay.
Right.
That's awesome.
We use contains. And we've also have exported this report and have done some little work to kind of come up with a list of our most commonly used. And that's why having the data consistently entered is really important for us. It hasn't been a perfect process because, as you can imagine, there's a whole lot of projects, but it really did help us identify some that we were using a whole lot. And when we looked at some of those, we discovered, Laura actually on the call with us discovered, hey, you know, we've used this 28 times in the last year, and it says marketing project no in CoCentral. Okay, that's a flag. We need to go change that, right? So having this process in place also lets us do a little bit of a check and balance.
Very cool. And then as far as like other maintenance goes, you might cover this a little bit later, but is it someone's sole responsibility to run that report looking for commas instead of semicolons or anything like that along the way?
We have had support. So, being a small team, I say we're a small team. I sometimes feel like when I talk to others, maybe we're a little bit of a larger team than most places. So I'm our CRM system data manager. I don't know if I had said that. And then Laura Zimmerman, who's on the line with me, she's what we call a data content specialist. So she focuses on the marketing side. And then we have a CRM person that focuses on the sales side. And so we're quite busy with everything that we do. So we've enlisted support specialists and asked, when they have lulls, because they do have periods of time where they need some work done to do, we will give them that kind of work, Courtney. So, create a report, have them go through and make those types of updates.
That's perfect.
So the next one is a project description program. So we do rely on the marketing coordinators when they do their proposal archiving, as I mentioned, if they get a new project description or resume role type thing to put it back into CoCentral. But we want to help them have something ready when they have a deadline due so that they're not having to create something from scratch. So we came up with this project description program, and we work with our practice leaders, and we've asked them, what are your top projects? So each year we go to each practice leader and ask them, give us your top 10 projects. And then we will pull everything that we can to generate a project description and have it written out for the PM to review and provide feedback. And you can see over on the right, it's a little fuzzy, but we have a series of questions to help prompt that PM to think about things that they need to incorporate into that project description. I feel like this program is going pretty well. The PL's responses on giving the project description or the project list to us kind of varies. We have some people that give us 8. We have some people that give us 20. You know, they're super excited. Can you get these 20 done? And then we have some laggards that don't. They're like, I'm good, and they don't give us any. So it's kind of a wide range. But over the course of the last 2 years, I've heard less and less about the project descriptions aren't updated. And I think I contribute that we're not getting that feedback anymore because of this program and what our writers are doing. In addition to the program, we have a SharePoint site. So I think a lot of people today use SharePoint for their internal intranet. And so we created a list on there to help us keep track of, what project descriptions we're working on. And we have a link, we put the project number, we copy the link from CoCentral and link it to CoCentral. That way we're still driving people to the system. So they can go to the SharePoint list, see what projects we've completed. And then if they're wanting to dig into more information, they click the link and it takes them into CoCentral. And I think I had a little bit more on this, and then I'll pause for questions. One of the other goals, so I had mentioned that we've been using CoCentral since 2010, and we were using it for the marketing side. And over the past 11 years, I'll say 9 years, 2 years ago, we kind of realized our MCs were doing what they were supposed to do in their archiving process of, when they got a new project description, they archived and added. But what they were doing is they were just adding. And so we would have projects where they had like 10 different descriptions. And one of the CoCentral limitations, I would say, is it shows you the date last edited, but it doesn't show you the date it entered the system. And so if someone is reviewing and they see that there's a typo and they're like, oh, there needs to be a period there, or they missed the capitalization, or they misspelled and someone edited it, it didn't necessarily mean it had been updated to the current state of the project. And so what we really wanted to focus on was kind of cleaning those up. And, we have, I think, over 13,000 projects in CoCentral. So it is a work in progress. I'm not going to say it's done, but definitely on the ones that practice leaders have provided, we're really moving those forward. So we're moving away from people just adding. And so what we've asked is that we have a master project description that is very comprehensive. And if I've done specific services rather than adding those individually, we put it in the master. That way they can pull it into the proposal, and then they can eliminate what they need versus having to go hunt and find. So that's one thing that we did. And then we're reducing the number of description types. We want to have only one resume role, only one master project description, and one half-page project description. So we have everybody make updates versus going in and adding a whole bunch. And that's just our best practice. I'm not sure what others are doing. So any questions on the project description program?
I kind of feel like I know your answer, but what do you feel like has been the biggest reward for some of your changes?
What is I feel like, so, some of the challenges when you run a publisher proposal, resume, or project description, you don't have control over the order of the descriptions, right? That goes in, it chooses one. So I think narrowing it down to having limited descriptions is helping improve what is going into our proposals. Because that was one of the things that we were getting feedback about. Hey, we've given you this update. Why am I not seeing it? That's because they're using publisher, and it chooses automatically which one it pulls in, right? So that has really helped facilitate that.
Okay. And then what do you feel like is the biggest, I don't want to say misuse because that's more negative, but like common thing that you have to watch or clean up or maintain about this process for the description specifically?
Yeah, so we use a lot of workflow emails. So anytime a new project description is added, Laura actually gets those workflow emails, and she'll go in and just verify should a new one have been added, or should they have updated an existing one, right? So she watches for those things. And then the other thing, we run reports and monitor, and have had support specialists help with this, where the old way we had people where they would put in the comments or maybe in the project description, here's who the reference is, which is static, right? So their contact information could have changed, their email address could have changed. And so we've been training people on adding it through the proper channel. That way it properly links. But we still have people that occasionally do that, right? So we monitor for those things to make sure that everything's entered in the proper place.
Okay, awesome.
I actually have a backtracking for a second. Connie, is on the proposal archive metadata, the searchable field, who do you find uses that more? Is it marketing that's trying to go back and look for, specific opportunities where they used a resume or used something, or do you find like business development and other users of the system using that as well? And has that been a problem, them kind of going back and, because sometimes marketing doesn't want you to see everything, or just try to put something together yourselves, or that kind of thing. Is there any kind of controls on that?
So we have a specific process for our go no go, and typically if it is a full-blown proposal, they will go through marketing. Like they want our help. I would say our marketing coordinators are probably the heavier users of this. They're probably the ones that I get the most questions from. But I do get technical people asking, hey, how can I pull the most recent resumes that I was listed in? I know we did this and I want to see it. And so I walk them through that. And we have information available on our intranet about it as well.
Okay. Yeah, I figured it would be marketing, but I was just curious because I know at previous jobs, they always say they want to access to our proposals and they want to be able to look back, and, I'm just curious if they use that search feature. So thank you.
Sure.
That's helpful.
Any other questions on the project descriptions or the proposals? Happy to go backwards if I need to. So something that we started this year is a resume pilot program. So we started getting the project descriptions in a great place, and the next complaint was, well, we're not updating the resumes. We need resumes cleaned up. And Laura would probably say this is where it hurts to be a small team, because we have almost 1,000 employees in the company. And we have to sometimes remind people that not everybody in the company needs a resume, right? So we've done a pilot program. We've done, I think at the end of the year, we'll have completed about 75 people. And we've taken this in a 2-phase kind of approach. The first one we're doing is pretty simple, pretty easy. We actually use a project report filtered by employee IDs, since employee ID is unique and we have employees, with similar first names, last names, just to make it less complicated. That's our filter criteria. And the report in it, we include obviously the project number, the project name, who is the client reference. So that's a one field that goes in there. And then it's the proposal where yes or no, is it included or excluded in the resume? And so one of the biggest things about this is we make sure that they understand we're not flipping this on and off for them. We don't have the capacity to do that. I want it today, I don't tomorrow, and 3 weeks from now, I want it, right? So we ask them to think kind of long-term and overall big picture. Is this something that you may want included in your resume? Or is it old and you don't ever want to see it again, right? So we give them an Excel spreadsheet on this so that they can easily just go down it and do yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, and then verify that the reference that's listed there is correct. If not, they can type it in. I think that's gone pretty well. That one has gone by very quickly, right? It's something easy for people to turn around to us. The phase 2 part, though, is where it takes a little bit longer, because now they have to think, they have to write, which they don't want to write. And so that part is actually pulling their resume. And then some have multiple resume intros, especially over the past 11 years. So we go in and manually add all of them so we can see, do we need to remove any of these? Do we need to update them? So that's kind of what we do here on the resume pilot program. Any questions on that? I do have a quick plug on my Uninet suggestion portal. So for the CoCentral users out there, one thing I've entered in here is, if you are a CRM manager, system administrator, you'll know in the reports manager, you can go in and look how many times someone's accessed to, or not how many times someone's accessed, but how many times has it been used since it was created, and those type of metrics. It would be super helpful if we had this ability in the publisher grid to help identify those resumes that are really getting used over and over and over, so that we can focus our time on updating them, because they want us to update everybody. And like we said, it's not really reasonable or needed to update every employee in the company. And so having number of uses, last use date would be super helpful in identifying and prioritizing our resume update program. So if this is something that y'all, if you're part of CoCentral and this is something that would help you, would love it if you go out there and vote. I'm also happy, I'll take bribes and I'll vote on something for you if you want me to help vote something up. So I'll go both ways. I'm going to share my email, so I'll let you also reach out to me. So the last thing, there's 2 more things. I think we're running out of time, so I'm going to talk really quick now. Publisher templates. Courtney Vance helped us with some of our full page resume Word documents, the internal project description program. So the publisher template that I had mentioned earlier, she also created that. There's lots of different things that you can do with publisher templates outside of even the doing a proposal. Like we use it for if a workflow isn't working right and we need information, we've created stuff for that. And Courtney Vance helped with all that. And then Julie Schaefer, we've been trying to improve the proposal efficiency. So we've been engaging with Julie Schaefer on getting some very specific publisher templates. As I mentioned before, I can look at code and I can read code and plug it in, but when you're talking about layout and creativity, you can forget it. That's not my strong suit. And then the other area was proposal boilerplate updates. So CoCentral has a knowledge area. It's something that we had been using for 11 years. So what we did was identify a cadence of updates and created calendar appointments. So Laura kind of manages that, and she'll send an update to our calendar item to our CFO. It's on the calendar annually, just to have that tickler reminder. And then if the CFO hasn't replied, Laura gives Laura a note, like she needs to email her asking, what is this statistic that we need it in our boilerplate information for our proposals? The second 2 bullets, so we actually surveyed our MCs asking, what did we need to update? What did we need to make easier? Was there any graphics that we need that would be able to be put in a sidebar or used for shortlist materials? So we have someone that we actually take out of the proposal rotation, and we'll focus on this for a couple of weeks to help us move this forward. And then we move on back into the proposal rotation. And then, so here are the 5 things that I had shared about how we kind of attack the proposal efficiency. So we have specific programs around all these things. And then resources. So you have wonderful Courtney Kearney here on the line. And I had mentioned Courtney Vance, who works for Courtney Kearney, in case y'all don't know Courtney Vance when I was referring to her. So she's a great resource as well. Julie Schaefer is also a great resource for publisher templates. And then I said I would share my email address. So if you want to reach out and have questions, I'm always open to collaborating and answering questions. So I went through the last few slides very quickly. I apologize, but I saw we were at the top of the hour. I have time available if anybody has questions.
Well, thank you so much. I will definitely give everybody the ability to ask questions. I wanted to let everybody know on the portal suggestions. I did drop that link into your portal idea if you wanted to vote. I also wanted to let everybody know that not everybody realizes this, but it's per vote per user, not per firm. So if you do have a lot of users in your firm, you can vote your own up by logging in as those specific users. So just know that as well, that it's not one and done for your firm.
Yes. So I will tell you, when I submit a suggestion, I email our entire marketing group and tell them, go vote on this. I don't get 100% participation, but I get a lot. So I am appreciative of that.
That's awesome. Perfect. Anybody else have any other questions? This is fantastic, Connie. Thank you so much for sharing it.
Well, I hope it was helpful. Again, y'all can reach out to me directly. Obviously, I didn't say where I was from, but you can probably tell by me saying y'all that I'm from Texas and I'm in the Fort Worth area. All right.
Sounds good. Well, look for a little thank you in your email box from us. It's been going to people's junk folder. So definitely look for a little thank you gift from us for being the guest speaker. And then everybody else on the call, if you know somebody that would be a guest speaker, if you yourself want to be a guest speaker for a future call, please let us know. We're working on the 2022, it's so crazy, 2022 calendar, and are looking for guest speakers to show off what they're doing in their own CRM systems. Plug on the call. Chrissy, I think you guys would be a good one to do next year after your process map is done. They've been going through a lengthy process trying to get their process mapped. There's no other way to put that sentence together. Thank you, Connie. It's so exciting to see you guys using the system so well and getting the most efficient with it. So that's awesome to share that with us. Thank you.
All right. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.